Absolutely.
Yes.
So can I quickly say, okay. I want to appeal to people listening to us. If anybody knows Peter Obi personally, please beg him to stop moving around without security. He's not an ordinary Nigerian anymore. He embodies the hopes and aspirations of Nigerians right now. And so it's not about him anymore. This is bigger than Peter Obi, the man now. This is a movement, and he embodies, like I said, the hopes and aspirations of many Nigerians. So Peter Obi should not, for any reason, be walking around without security and letting people come close and take big selfies and stuff like that. He should be protected at all costs. Peter Obi must be protected at all costs. And people who are going out to get their PVCs should be protected as well. Okay? Because these two elements, when they come together, gives us a new Nigeria. And these two elements, when cut off, actually cuts off the hopes and aspirations of many Nigerians. So please, if you know Peter Obi, talk to him. We don't want to see videos of Peter Obi pulling his own bag. And we know he's a humble man, but he's not just an ordinary man anymore. Okay, Peter Obi should have security details, enough security details, traveling around with him right now. Peter Obi should watch what he eats, where he goes, and who goes with him. Okay, because like I said, he might really be in danger.
All right. My name is Yagazi. Welcome to the Parliament Thursday edition of this very, very interesting program where everyone's opinion counts, so long as your opinion is founded and spoken decently. We will continue the conversation this morning on the candidacy of the person of Peter Obi of the Labour Party, who has been in the news a lot these days. In fact, for the past few weeks, he has just been in the news. We know that the frenzy being spurred by Peter Obi's candidacy is something somewhat unprecedented. Every day, the Labour Party candidate is in the news, and for the past few weeks, he has been traveling a lot, doing a lot of media rounds across the states of the Federation. And not too long ago, I think on June 14th, he was out of the country. He went to Egypt, where he went to see firsthand and hear firsthand what the country did to increase its power generating capacity. Just yesterday also, he was in Rivers State and had a closed door meeting with Governor Nyesom Wike, a visit that has sparked a lot of speculations about the motive. But away from the motive and the content of the meeting, some of his supporters are beginning to raise concerns about safety, his safety and the safety of his supporters themselves. Just the other day in the news, I saw on Premium Times somebody from the north by the name Jamilu Sufi in Sokoto State talking about being threatened for supporting the Labour Party and for supporting Peter Obi. And he mentioned about getting calls and threats about his wife and himself. So, you know, Obi himself had, in an interview, also talked about, you know, not going around with a lot of security detail and not ever going into the church with security and all of that. And we know that the campaign that Obi is pushing is has the hashtag Take Back Nigeria. In fact, the other day he was having a media round, and he had this to say about taking back the country from the political gangsters, as he mentioned. I'll play a clip from what he said during that media round so that you hear for yourselves, just before we delve into the conversation proper.
Like he says, some group of people to hijack their country. That's why I have said, take back your country. It's not theirs. You can't allow this gangsterism to continue, because you have no country again. I can tell you this. What you are seeing today is like, if any of you have watched the Titanic, when it was going down, because the people playing music on top, they were busy dancing. That's where Nigeria is now. It's going down and people are busy dancing. Take it back. The people would determine whether it's going to be a 2-horse, a 3-horse, 5-horse race, because they will go with the reason. When I became governor of Anambra State, I did not contest on platform of the big parties. In fact, I started with PDP. And something went wrong, and I said, no, I'm not going to be part of this people. I went into a small party, an unknown party. We were just starting APGA then. I joined APGA. 6 months, I was elected governor. I went to the people. Then everybody told me like they're saying today, you have no structure, you have no this, you have no that. I said, listen, this structure is the people. Let the people vote for me. I was elected governor in Anambra State. There was no single House member in my party. No House of Rep member in my party. No senator in my party. No local government chairman in my party. And I delivered that state. By the time I left that state, no state in Nigeria is more financially stable than that state.
All right, that's the man Peter Obi himself talking about political gangsterism and coming from a party that is the opposition but in the minority. And we know that it's a lot for the opposition to do. And given that the hashtag Take Back Nigeria is the hashtag which is pushing in his political campaign, and knowing that people have likened his support base to the NSAS of 2020 kind of thing that we had, the people are worried would it spiral out to become something like to end like the NSAS and all of that. So we'll be looking into having this conversation this morning with the head of operations of Development Communications Limited, Mr. Tony Odukwe, who is seated right here with me in the studio. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, thank you. DEFCOM Limited.
DEFCON. All right. Welcome.
Thank you. Always a pleasure to be here.
Always a pleasure to have you. Okay, so you heard Peter Obi talk about political gangsterism. Do you believe that that's what we have in Nigeria?
Absolutely, absolutely. He couldn't have said it any better than he did.
Okay.
That's what is going on. And I love the analogy of the Titanic as well. That's really on point. I haven't had anybody describe Nigeria that way, but that paints the real picture. And so he's totally on point. He has my support. The man himself is an enigma, and the man himself is a phenomenon. You know, we're seeing an unprecedented movement, you know, such as has never been seen the last 50 years in Nigeria.
Wow.
Or I could even say ever. There has never been any time in Nigeria that people were so politically emancipated, so politically ready, you know, to go out and exercise, you know, their franchise like we say it now. And so it's amazing. I'm excited at the prospect. I'm excited at what's going to happen in 2023. This big parties are going to get a run for their money.
You think so?
I think so. You know, I know so, but I am also worried. I'm actually worried, really worried, you know, about a few things, you know, but we will get there as we progress. Yes. Okay.
Peter Obi talks about taking back Nigeria from the political class. Is he not part of the political class, or you think
he is a part of the political class? But if you've listened to some of his speeches or interviews, you will see him. You will have heard him say, "I don't play politics the regular way. I'm not your regular politician," right? And he, of all his qualifications, the one he seems to like to you know define himself by is the trader part.
Yeah.
You know, so this is a trader turned politician, you know, that made a lot of money, you know, through trading and all of that. And so he wants you to see that he's a different kind of politician. When Atiku declared his intention to run, he invited Peter Obi, and Peter Obi went. So as he came out of that event, a journalist accosted him and asked him, "Why are you here? You intend to run, and you're here supporting another candidate." And he made it clear that, listen, for me, politics is not a fight, it's not a war, right? This is somebody who I'm friends with, somebody who I've run with in the past, somebody who I believe in. You know, the fact that I came here to give my support does not change the fact that I still want to serve Nigeria. Right? So you can see that tells of the kind of politician he is. He's not the kind of do or die politician. You know, if you run, then you're my enemy. If I see any way to cut you down, I'll cut you down. That's not the kind of politician.
Isn't that being naive?
Well, it's not being naive. It's playing politics the modern way. You remember, this man lived in the UK, you know, long before he became governor. You know, and so me too, having that experience of living overseas, we sort of kind of think differently. Things are done differently overseas.
Okay.
And so if you've actually been exposed to how things are done overseas, you won't play the petty politics that we play in Nigeria. The fact that somebody your neighbor wants to run, doesn't make them an enemy. As a matter of fact, there's a politician, I don't remember his name now, whose daughter is in a different political party, and this person is interested in the presidential seat, but his daughter happens to be,
India, another
party altogether. Okay. I think that is progressive thinking. That is progressiveness. That's what it should be. It shouldn't be a do or die affair. That if you're not in my party, then you're my enemy. So I don't think he's naive. And as a matter of fact, Peter Obi could be anything but naive. The man is not naive. He understands the political game, and that's why you see what's going on right now. He's the only politician that has consistently the last 6 years told us his manifesto, while other politicians were doing what they do best, stealing money and plotting on how to steal money. This man was traveling around Nigeria, traveling around the world, doing speeches, on the new Nigeria, telling what he's done and what he intends to do. He was actually permeating his ideas in the minds of Nigerians. And now it's paying off, because Nigerians feel like they know this man. They understand him, they know his vision, and they actually believe in him, and that's good for him.
No doubt he has done a lot of media rounds, even before campaigning for
Absolutely.
The 2023 presidency. Yes. You can see a lot of clips from old. So he has done a lot trying to tell the people the kind of person he is and the ideas that he has for the country, no doubt. But then we now have this news that was on Premium Times about a certain Jamilu Sufi from Sokoto State who was crying out on Twitter about being threatened for supporting the Labour Party and the Labour Party candidate himself. What do you have to say about this?
Well, I'm hearing this the first time, but I have been worried about this for weeks. The amount of worry I have concerning some of the things I see could happen has been, I don't want to use the word sickening, but I've been really worried to a point where I'm very uncomfortable at some of the things that could happen. I've seen a number of people, a number of groups actually, proclaiming for Peter Obi. I also saw another video, before I talk about this Jamilu, I saw another video of a coalition of Northern youth leaders coming together and saying that their consensus candidate, I think that's what they call it in Nigerian politics, is Peter Obi. I was worried for them. I've also seen a group of local Northern musicians, who composed a song and were enchanting Peter Obi. I have also been worried for them, knowing the kind of politics that is played in the North. They are such a people that if you do not believe in their ideology, in their way of life, and in the line or school of thought, your life, comes under attack, right? And so I have been worried for these people who are in the North and proclaiming for Peter Obi. And so you talking about Jamilu right now confirms my fears, right? And so these people in the North who are, standing for Peter Obi are running a great risk. But it's a risk that, if you believe in something, you have to run. Martin Luther King said that a man that will not stand for something is not fit to live. A man that is not ready to give his life for something is not fit to live. So if you believe in something, and that's the thing that's lacking in the modern Nigeria that we hope to see in the new Nigeria come 2023, where people are going to begin to stand on their convictions without fear or favor, without being afraid of, for their own lives. People should be allowed to express their opinions, express their line of thought, express their convictions. That's the Nigeria we hope to have in the future. So the Jamilu thing is fact, is reality. I've expected this, and if we had a functional police force, then I would say that he wouldn't have anything to worry about. But I'm afraid we do not have a functional police force, and we could wake up one day hearing that this man has been killed, or his house has been razed and his family is in danger. It's a possibility in Nigeria. And so now I can talk about my fears. We see a movement happening in Nigeria now that is unprecedented. Millions of people in the last 1 month have gone out to register. Okay? Number one fear is that all these people would get registered and not have their PVCs delivered to them, right? When it comes to politics in Nigeria, INEC calls the shot. And so INEC has become, how do you call them? The golden, how do you call it now?
Golden fish.
Yeah, well, something like that. The young lady, that every the suitor, that every suitor wants to, come for. That's what INEC is now. Every corrupt politician is trying to, play ball with INEC and try to grease their palms. When you want to win elections, you make friends with INEC, bribe some people in there, and then they'll do your bidding. So that's my number one fear, that all those millions of people will go and register for their PVCs, because registration is one thing, and then getting your PVC is another. Okay, and so I saw a report. There was a court case that was decided recently, and the court ordered INEC to extend the dates.
Yeah.
But INEC already is showing adamance, and they're saying that if they've
actually extended the dates for registration, right?
Yes. When did they do that?
Just yesterday.
Okay, so I saw a report yesterday that where INEC was saying that if they extended it, that 50% of the registrations will be voided. So you see that INEC plays this game very well, and I have always said that elections have always been rigged at INEC, right?
Maybe they have their reasons for saying it would be voided. I haven't seen that report, but
it is not unexpected for you to say that, because you're a journalist, so you have to you have to not take sides. But I'm not a journalist, and so I have to say the fact. And so for me, fact is that INEC has been behind most of the rigged elections that we've had in Nigeria, right? I'm not saying that everybody at INEC is corrupt, but we know that INEC is part of the problem, right? So INEC telling us that extending the dates will void 50% of the registrations. Come on, is it rocket science to register people? When banks are already giving a more complicated technology out same day on the instant. You walk into many Nigerian banks today, you get your how do you call it, your MasterCard. MasterCard is not a Nigerian technology. MasterCard is an American company, an American technology, but Nigerians have been able to crack the code and are able to give Nigerians their card on the instant. You register, and before 1 hour you get your card. And something as ordinary as the PVC, you cannot do the same thing? And you're telling me that extending the dates, now they're doing what they've been paid to do. And they're telling us what they're going to do. So that's my number one fear, that INEC is our major challenge. Now, that said, the other challenge is that this movement of youngsters, not just youngsters, of Nigerians going out to get their PVCs with one candidate in mind, tells us that Nigerians are tired of being disenfranchised. Nigerians are tired of the sufferings the last since 1999. Nigerians have suffered, and the last 8 years has been the most terrible, and Nigerians are tired of that. So Nigerians now want to take their future in their hands. So what we are seeing is the NSAS metamorphosing into a political force. NSAS was peaceful, but the corrupt politicians hired hoodlums to taint, the image of that movement. And so Nigerians have realized that that route is a more dangerous route where lives can be lost. And so they are metamorphosing that movement into a political one, which is a wise thing to do. And that's why we're seeing, Nigerians going out in droves to get their PVCs, getting ready to vote. But the same street politicians who knew how to taint the movement a couple of years ago of NSAS, I'm afraid they're going to try to hurt this one. And so my fear is that we're going to wake up one day and hear that maybe the Surulere Stadium, where Nigerians gather in their hundreds of thousands to get registered, all of a sudden got bombed, or that people got shot. I'm afraid. I hope not. I hope not. But this has been some of my fears, Yagazie. Understanding the Nigerian politician. The politics is their means of livelihood. And so really they will protect their political offices and positions with every ounce of their strength.
But almost every politician has been saying, go out and get your PVC.
That's hypocritical. Forget about that. That's hypocritical. They've got to say that to make it look like they support real, true democracy. Right? And so those politicians, when put at risk, when challenged, will attack like mad dogs. And so my fear is that you're going to wake up one day and hear that people who are going out to get the PVCs have been attacked in order to deter other people from going out. That's number one. The other more extreme thing that could happen is you hearing that P2B has been attacked. I have had these fears for weeks, but I'm seeing things that are telling me that my fears are not unfounded. A couple of days ago, I belonged to a group. I was added to a group, and somebody posted an audio clip and a picture of a car that was totally damaged, and then he came with an audio, and it happened to be a doctor who was kidnapped recently in Anambra State, Isoch or somewhere, right? And so he was saying that the kidnappers told him that their major problem right now is P2B and they're going to kill him. When I heard that, it increased my fears. I started shivering. I'm shivering because I believe in this man. I don't know Peter Obi. Yes, I've been at different conferences where I sat close to him, but we don't know each other personally, right? And so, but I see this man's vision. I believe that this man will bring about a new Nigeria. He seems to have my kind of ideology for Nigeria. And so I am committed to seeing this man come to a position of authority. But he's a major challenge to status quo. And status quo is both PDP and APC and every other politician who's been there since 1999. And so they could figure out that this movement is giving them sleepless nights.
But Obi was part of the PDP at some point.
Yes,
and he's still meeting with the PDP. He's meeting with Nyesom Wike just yesterday.
You don't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
We wouldn't judge him for meeting Nyesom Wike. Now, I'm not saying Obi is an angel. But in the face of what we've had in Nigeria since inception, since independence, I think this is a breath of fresh air. I think this is a silver line in dark cloud, right?
Some people say he's too good to be true.
Well, it doesn't matter. They're still good Nigerians. They're still good Nigerians. The only difference, like I said, Obi has my kind of ideology for Nigeria. The only difference is that he has, he had the ability to bring himself to limelight by first becoming governor. And then he's taking it a notch higher now, to get to the seat that really matters when it comes to changing things in Nigeria, right? So there's no way we're going to say that Obi is an angel. He's not an angel. Nobody's an angel. But he's better than 99.9% of Nigerian politicians. And this is why we believe in him, because antecedents is everything. Yeah. If you want to see where a man is going, see where he's coming from. If you want to know what a man will do in the future, see what he's done in the past. So we've seen what he did in the past. And so we know that he's not going to do any different. Nigeria is a big ship. It's not going to be easy to pilot, but it is doable. And we need to be placed on the right course. But there are many challenges that I'm going to talk to you about today. Now, there is the immediate challenge of the Nigerian politicians. You're cutting me off. Let me finish my thought.
All right, go ahead.
And so my fear is that these corrupt politicians might get up and go the violent way, either trying to, get Obi out of the way by assassinating him, or by attacking people who are going out to get their PVCs. I hope I'm being too extreme. I hope this is unfounded rationality. But these are my fears, and I have every right to talk about it. But you need to understand why Africa isn't working. This is something I've tried to talk about on this radio, and some of your callers called me stupid. I understand this game. I have seen politicians overseas. I've even worked close to politicians overseas, and I know that politics is has some very deep sides that you don't know about. The problem of Nigeria is not Buhari. The problem of Nigeria is not the Senate House. The problem is the people that enable them. Some of the things that are happening in Nigeria, if it happened in Europe, you will see the European Union rise up. Some of the things that has happened in Nigeria the last 30 years, if they happened in the US, you will see US will go chaotic, right? Now, the problem is that the West is behind what's happening in Africa. Africa is the richest continent in the world. Africa is the one continent that has every resource that both Europe and America needs to survive. And so the day Africa wakes up, it cuts off a flow of natural resources to the West, which is enriching the West the last 700 years. Right? So it is in the interest of the West to make sure that there is chaos in Africa, not just in Nigeria. And so that's what you find going on in DRC, Congo DRC. Congo DRC has been fighting the war the last 30 years. Who's behind that? America and Europe are behind that, because while they are fighting and killing each other, flights are coming in and taking away resources for free. And so it is in the interest of the West to continue to finance those wars. Now, what is going on in Borno right now is not far from the same story. There is a gold deposit somewhere around that region. And so as long as Boko Haram is financed to cause chaos in that region, some people are benefiting from stealing our natural resources. Now, this is going on in many countries. Uganda has now found the largest deposit of gold anywhere in the world, which is going to make him one of the richest, make it one of the richest countries in the world. Okay? Now listen, I predict that in the next couple of months you're going to see chaos in Uganda. Wars are going to break out, so that the same people who control the resources in Africa can control the newfound resource in Uganda. So these are the people that are breeding chaos in Africa. And so Buhari is not really he's a figurehead. He's not really the man. Somebody is carrying out, there's a manuscript that politicians are carrying out. And that is why the West will sit down and let people be killed in Nigeria. Like people are being killed and they're not saying anything about it. So that's the major problem. That's my major challenge, because they don't want Nigeria to rise. Nigeria is the big brother in Africa. Forget about it. Yes, I know that we're not the true giant of Africa like we used to be. But if Nigeria gets it right, Africa will get it right. So the West is determined to make sure that Nigeria doesn't get it right. If not, tell me why people will be killed at the EndSARS movement a couple of years ago, and nothing has come out of it, and the West is not saying anything about it, because really it serves their interest.
Think they are busy with their own problems?
Forget about it. Forget about it. But they are not busy. Too busy to go to Afghanistan. They're not too busy to go to Syria. Okay, no, we know what is going on. So that's the point. Okay, Africa needs to rise up, really, and that's why I'm concerned that they know that the day we wake up. Look at what Ghana decided recently. Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire are the two largest producers of cocoa, right? But can you imagine that the country that is making the most money out of Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire's cocoa is Switzerland? They developed a chocolate product called the brownie, which is chocolate in powder. If you want to make chocolate snacks, you have to buy it from them. And they're making trillions of dollars selling this finished product whose raw material came from Ghana. And so all of a sudden the Ghanaian president decided, oh no, we can't continue playing these games with you guys. No more selling our raw materials, cocoa raw materials. We're now going to start processing them ourselves so that we can create jobs for our people, and then we can ship the finished product. And that's the model that I've advocated for different African nations. Take your natural resources, refine them, make them into finished products, and then export the finished product. So that way you can control the price at which you sell, and you can become more profitable, right? That is why the West is afraid that the day Africa wakes up and decides to industrialize, then the West is in trouble. And so how do we make sure that Africa never rises? Make sure that we sit corrupt politicians who will make sure that their countries never work. That is the big challenge. That is the biggest challenge. And I think this Western corrupt politicians will not support Obi, and will make sure that Obi does not succeed, so that Nigeria does not industrialize. Industrialization of Nigeria is emancipation of Nigeria. It's going to give us a new Nigeria that we've never seen before.
All right, talking about the Obi and the West, Obi was in Downing Street sometime not too long ago to meet with the leaders in the UK, and he's marketing himself to be president of Nigeria. And right now, people say that Nigeria has not been more divided in its history than it is as at this point. So the next president of Nigeria should be somebody that the people from across the ethnic groups and religions will begin to see as a unifier.
That's right.
And there is somebody else who's already marketing himself as the unifier in the person of Atiku Abubakar. Do you think that Obi cuts across even to the north and the west as that person who would unify Nigeria and make us one again, so that we can consolidate our strengths as a people to forge ahead as a country?
Much more than Atiku.
In what way?
Much more than Atiku. Have you not been alive in the last 6 months? Do you not see what's happening on social media? That different tribes are rising up and saying, that's why I said this is unprecedented. Since the history of Nigeria, we've never seen anything like this. That people across classes, across ethnicities, across ages are standing up and saying we are obedient. Okay?
Yeah.
People are rising up and saying that this Igbo man is their candidate. But I'm saying influencers, I'm saying musicians, I'm saying individuals making videos, supporting people. These are Yoruba people, these are Hausa people, these are Igbo people, this is across ethnic lines. People are rising up and saying this is the man, because Nigerians are tired. Not only are Nigerians tired, Nigerians have suffered. And so Nigerians are tired of suffering. You know? And so I am afraid that if this pans out contrary to the expectation of Nigerians, 2023 is going to be rough. I predict that 2023 is going to be rough if this pans another way. Because a couple of days ago, I saw another video, which is the most exciting video I have seen, not because of the man behind it. I don't have any reason to be excited for the man, except that he's a pastor, but he said something very intelligent, right? That he is part of the ESCO of the PFN, the Nigerian Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria. And he said that the leadership of the PFN has decided that what we need to do is encourage every Christian to go get their PVCs. Get ready, And when that time comes, you'll be advised on who to vote for. I'm sure he did not want to use his platform to, start an early campaign for the candidate, right? But he was saying that what we need to do, that what we plan to do is to galvanize 50 million votes. That got me really excited. This is a big pastor of a big church. Paul Adefara said that the pastor of a house on the rock. Yeah. This is a multi-ethnic, multi-racial congregation,
yeah.
Right? And so he is saying that what we need is 50 million votes. I have been worried that after all this work that Peter Obi may not really win because of the level of corruption and election, vote buying and rigging that's been going on in Nigeria the last couple of decades, right? Mm-hmm. But when he talked about the plan to get 50 million votes, it dawned on me that if we actually can galvanize 50 million Nigerians to go get their PVCs and cast their vote for one person, it will be unprecedentedly and overwhelmingly clear that INEC cannot rig this. Nobody can rig this, because I have said that every PVC properly registered and delivered is evidence. Hard evidence that is in a database somewhere. Now, every vote properly casted, especially with the new electoral law that allows electronic processes, to go on, every proper vote casted is another evidence. And so if at the end of the election process, things pan out wrongly than, differently from what Nigerians expected, there will be a court case and there will be investigations. And these evidence will come into play. We were going to go and check the database and find out where people voted. And it will be clear that 50 million people casted their vote for this candidate. There's just no way you can do, there's just no way you can rig this one. There's just no way. But I want to advise Nigerians now. You see, the problem is that when election season comes, we all make a lot of noise. I was not in the game until now. This is the first time I'm actually getting active because I've not really been around. But and more Nigerians are now getting involved. But what we've seen in the past is that election season comes and people make a whole lot of noise about elections and all of that. And once the result is announced, everybody packs their bag and goes home. No. Now with elections, what we need to have is a pre-election activities, during election activities, and post-election activities. Post-election activities may have to be as important as the pre-election activities, because what will happen is that we must rally around our candidates and make sure that INEC gives us proof of what was done during the election and how it was done. They have to find a way to publish either electronically or regular print media everything that happened during the election. Give us hard facts. This person won, okay? Yes. How did he win? How many votes did he get? How many people voted for him? These facts have to be published either electronically or physically so that Nigerians can see it. And so if you give us anything contrary to what we know happened, then there will be court cases. And so that's a post-election activity I'm expecting to start happening from 2023. And if we begin to do that, then it will be clear to corrupt politicians and corrupt INEC officials that this is not business as usual. We can't rig elections in Nigeria anymore.
All right. Already we have electronic transmission of results, which I think is something that would lend a lot of credibility to the results that we'll be having in 2023 if the people at the polling units insist that
Yes.
It's the results there that are transmitted. Then
Yes.
it makes it very difficult for any form of rigging. But coming back to Obi and Uniting Nigeria,
Yes.
we know that there is still some undecided thing about the running mates, and right now the running mate on paper is Doyin Okugbe, Dr. Doyin Okugbe,
Of course we know he will
who
be
is a Southwesterner.
Yes.
Where do you think the man Peter Obi should be looking in terms of choosing a running mate?
To play a good game, to play a good and to have a good political outing, I think he should take a running mate from the north.
The North.
Yes, northern votes are important, right? Even though I believe the north, may not really be the most populous ethnic group in Nigeria, as they want us to believe, right? I've made this analogy a number of times in recent times, and I'm going to do it again. The reason I think you should go to the north is that the northern vote is important. The north understands the game, and they seem to have been controlling, electoral outcomes for like forever, right? So you need the north on your side. Not that the western votes are not important, But already, we don't need to beg too much to get a lot of Western support, because we do have a lot of Western support. A lot of Western elders are saying we have to let the Igbos go. So it's coming naturally, right? Where we're going to have a harder time convincing them is in the north. So that's why I think a northern votes are important for Peter Obi. So I think Peter Obi should get a northerner as deputy, so that we can get, the northern vote. I don't know Juan so very well, but I've heard a lot of good things about him. And one of the things I heard is that he's as good as Peter Obi. And so these are the kind of people we need to lead Nigeria, right? Now, but Juan I think should, make way for Peter Obi, because the North has been leading for a very long time.
And it doesn't seem like it's happening.
It doesn't seem like it's going to happen, but that's one miracle I hope would happen. I really think Juan should, forge alliance with Peter Obi. If they do forge that alliance, trust me, they will be undefeated. And Juan will carry all the support, will bring all the support he has on the North to the table. That's the kind of vice or deputy Peter Obi should be looking for.
Do you think some people are making insinuations already with the visit to Nyesom Wike that maybe he might be lobbying Nyesom Wike, knowing?
Absolutely not.
But Nyesom Wike is actually a powerful politician as Nigeria stands.
Absolutely. Peter Obi is too smart to think that if you take Nyesom Wike as deputy, that you're going to win this election. Even though he has a lot of support, but you need every support you can get, and we're in the process of getting all the support. So you don't make a decision that will be politically damning, right? That cannot be why he went to see Nyesom Wike. Now, politics requires money, campaigns require money, right? So that could be all about drumming support. It may not necessarily be about him wanting things to be. You need as much support as you can get. It's going to cost him a lot of money, not to bribe people, but campaigns are very expensive anywhere in the world. You need to pay the print media, you need to pay conventional media, you need to pay social media, you need to print flyers, you need to rent vehicles and all of that. It's a very capital intensive project. And so to get ahead, you need support. And so Nyesom Wike has proven he has money to throw around, and then he's from the South, So why don't you get him on your team? It's not. He doesn't have to be about going there to discuss, how do you call it, the deputy. No, it could be about drumming support. Peter Obi needs to go to every state and get support. Even American presidential political candidates, open up, campaigns to get money from people. Apart from the political campaign, there are other campaigns to get sponsorship. So that could be about sponsorship. And so Nyesom Wike, being from the South, but from a different party, if you brought Nyesom Wike, to his side, it will be a great advantage, because Nyesom Wike will now bring all his supporters along, to support Peter Obi. So that's a good move. But I think getting a deputy from the North will be a very intelligent move. There's something else I want to talk about. Forgotten about that.
All right. Getting a candidate from the North, it will seem a Herculean task for Peter Obi, given the people that he's up against. Talk about Atiku Abubakar himself, who is a core northern politician with a strong base in the North. You are talking about Kwankwaso, who has the Kwankwasia movement in the North. And you're also looking at Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is the APC presidential candidate, and the APC has a lot of governors in the North. So does he even stand a chance in the North, even with no matter how popular the candidate is, does he stand a chance?
He does, but no matter how the Southeasterner cries about marginalization, the Southeasterner is still much better than the Northerner, the average Northerner. The Northerners are suffering. We like to talk about how they have the beautiful roads and how the roads have been built for them and how infrastructure has been provided. These people are poor. There's just no way you can compare their standard of living to that of the South, even with all the marginalization. And so the fact that these people have suffered and are continuing to suffer much more than every other region of Nigeria should make them tired. Yes, I know that there are Nigerians who are so illiterate that they're still supporting their candidates. I saw a write-up that says that Nigeria is a funny place. The only place where the oppressed will still draw more support for the people who are oppressing them. That's Nigeria for you, and that's because of illiteracy. And there's a reason corrupt politicians have allowed Nigerians to become so poor, so that whenever you dangle a fish, in front of them, they jump at it. That's what poverty. They have weaponized poverty in Nigeria, so that when it comes to election season, no matter what you give them, they jump at it. I still saw people, shouting Jagaban. The same people that were in the NSAS campaign the last time, I saw them. campaigning and shouting Jagaban, Jagaban. People are still being starstruck. Oh, this is Jagaban, and I'm within, arm's length reach. Okay, I'm excited for him and all of that. Nigerians need to grow up and understand that we're looking for a new Nigeria where perhaps we will have a chance to enjoy life again, but most importantly, our children will have a better future. If you're really thinking about your children, then you should vote right. Vote right. So I'm not worried about what's his name? I'm not worried about Tinubu because his votes are divided. The Westerners, a lot of Westerners are supporting P2B, so his votes are divided. I'm not worried about.
You're talking about a Tinubu who is said to be the godfather of most of the governors.
Now listen. You do not need delegates to win this election. The delegates have done their bid. So it's not like there's a delegate that you're going to bribe to decide, to make him president. It's going to be, at the end of the day, this time, it's going to be about votes cast. Right? And I'm telling you that some of the largest churches you have in Nigeria belong to Yorubas and people from the West. Ndi Benin, Yoruba, and all of these people. They are the ones that own some of these big churches. And these churches are already drumming support for people. That's a lot of vote already. Right. So that said, I want to talk about the fact that Atiku I'm more worried about Atiku than Jagaban because of the northern vote. But I'm saying that the northerners are suffering too, and seem to understand that a P2B gives a chance to a better Nigeria, where people can actually work hard and earn a good living, where the economy will be lifted to a place where the money will go around. Right? When Mbaka began to criticize P2B for being frugal and stingy, he was actually saying a good thing about P2B. I don't know why people are upset that he said that. I'm upset because he's an Igbo man and he should understand better. But then that is a good quality for a politician to have. A person who we've seen videos and pictures of different scholarship, different events where he gifted out hundreds of millions of naira. That's just the way you're going to tell me. I'm a Christian, but I'm not that kind of a Christian that you can deceive me because you're a man of God. God has given me a mind and a conscience to decide for myself what is the right thing. That's why I have a problem with religion, where people are so deadened and so blindfolded by religion that they cannot think for themselves. The fact that Mbaka said that P2B is frugal or stingy doesn't mean that has to be my opinion about P2B. We need somebody who is stingy, but can use that money to work for the nation. A man that has only 2 black shoes, a man that has had 1 watch the last 17 years, of course it's a good watch, it could be a Rolex. For it to have lasted 17 years, it must be a very good watch, an expensive one at that. But he has just one of it. A man that has a big house built by his wife, but decides to live in something like a boys' quarter. That's a man we need for Nigeria. So you calling him stingy is a very good quality for him. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that Atiku has a bigger chance. But if Nigerians continue to drum up support like they are doing for P2B, both Atiku and Jagaban will not see that office. I think the next president for Nigeria will be P2B. And I encourage people to, those of you who haven't gotten your PVCs, go out and get your PVCs, and if you've gotten your PVCs, make sure that you go out and vote on that date. It is pertinent for the future of Nigeria, for our future, and for the future of our children.